Okay, so I'm joined by Bob this afternoon, who is the owner of Goal Driver. So Bob, I'll hand over to you. If you'd like to tell me what it is you do and how long you've been going for, it'd be great to hear.
Yeah, so thank you. So Goal Driver is something I sort of stumbled on, really. My background is I'm an accountant, and I found myself really frustrated many years ago with the quality of my clients' bookkeeping. I wanted to do more for them than the standard accounts and tax, and I couldn't because the bookkeeping wasn't good enough. It took too much time to turn that data into a set of accounts so I could have a really good conversation. So I managed to find some, before it was software, it was a book, but it ended up as software that I could give my clients for free. It was an Australian product called Cashflow Manager. And I started giving it away for free to improve the quality of bookkeeping. It worked. And I phoned them up and said, this is a long answer, by the way, to your question. I phoned them up and said, can I have 300 copies of this? Because I have 300 clients that I needed to improve the quality of bookkeeping. They went, no. So that led me into rather than naively software development. So with my business partner, we created a bookkeeping system similar to the Australian one, but a bit better because it was UK focused. And I started giving that away for free to my clients, and it was called More. So I could do more for clients. And it worked until I started to see other technology come onto the market about 7 years ago, things like Xero. And I thought, I don't really want to take them on. So we started looking for some new software that we could commercialize. And I looked at business planning software. There was loads of that good stuff around. But I started to stumble on the software, this new type of software. It had different features in it. And long story short, we ended up putting 2 or 3 things together and creating Goal Driver. And Goal Driver is about doing more for clients. So it's the fancy term is strategy execution software. So it's about how do you turn a goal once you've just decided what your goal is. How do you turn that into a result? And that's Goal Driver. So I'm an accountant. I wanted to do more for clients, and I've gone through a bit of a journey, and I've ended up today really helping people drive their business forward so that they achieve their goals. And Goal Driver is a fairly big product. There's lots of things in it, and off the back of that, we've created another product called Agendally, which is a meeting management tool. Because inside Goal Driver, there's a meeting manager, and for people that don't need the whole thing of Goal Driver, they can just use Agendally to use their meetings to drive their business forward.
Okay, fantastic. I like the word Agendally. It's good. I like that.
Cool. Thank you.
So how long have you been going for? Have you worked through the pandemic? Was this an idea which stemmed pre or post pandemic, or? So
we took an early version of Goal Driver up to because I work in the accounting space, although you can use it with any business. We took an early version of Goal Driver up to the largest accountancy exhibition in May 2018, and we had a little innovation stand there. There's about 7,000 or 8,000 accountants that attend that show 2 or 3 days, and they were all really interested in GDPR compliance letters of engagement, and we were talking about strategy execution, and we were just on a different page. So the accounting profession is going through a transformation, and as many businesses, and maybe all businesses are, but it's slow, and the transformation is not technology, it's for technology's sake, but it's a change of business model. This is what I believe anyway, from compliance and reporting things to the tax office. That's starting to become more and more automated. They're moving towards advisory. But at that time in May 18, we were not really on the same page. So to answer your question, Goal Driver's sort of been around since May 18. I had a couple of accountants using it. I've been using it, but it's now we're starting to approach accountants again off the back of Agendally, and we're starting to see accountants that are now doing business advisory and helping clients set goals think about, well, how do we turn those goals into results? Because a plan with no results, there's no value. You've just spent a load of time creating a business plan, getting nowhere. So we're early. Although we've been going 4 years, we're really on day one with Gold Driver, and Agendally is probably going to come out in about 3 weeks time, 4 weeks time, something like that.
Nice, yeah. Is it just you at the moment, Bob, or do you have a team working alongside you?
No, it's myself at the moment. Myself, my business partner, a full-time developer, and my wife and dog.
Yeah, and dog. I like it. Mine are fast asleep on the floor, so that's good.
Yeah, and the plan is we shouldn't need a huge team, because what I've been doing today is editing videos. So inside the tech, we've got all the training videos, and I don't mean what buttons to click, but the philosophy, methodology, and the soft skills to be able to do it. So yeah, we want to be a small team. However, if we've got the right thing at the right time, which I think is more Agendally than Gold Driver, because Gold Driver is quite big, I think Agendally has got much more. It's much more likely to grow faster. Then I would be looking to raise money and scale up a team, because I think you need to think globally now. You can't just think. My first product was a UK product. Was today, I want to be as well known for meetings in the accounting space as Xero is for cloud accounting. You've got to think like that, I believe. Otherwise, you're not going to end up with anything good enough.
No, that's a good ambitious goal to have set out, definitely. Moving on, just talking a bit more about the pandemic and sort of as you worked there, are there any sort of main learnings that you took away from it that you've been able to apply into where you're at today?
So two things that spring to mind with that question. One is the importance of community. And I think this was a trend that was happening anyway, but I think I really saw people come together. I posted in a Facebook group. There was a load of people that were excluded from a lot of government support, and I was in that Facebook group anyway, not as a business owner. I was just sort of watching what the conversation was, and I thought, God, I wonder what I could do for these people. So I sort of posted a tip on a tax planning tip, which was to change your year end, which would then, because a lot of people were making losses, and that would have crystallized those losses and probably saved a lot of people tax at a time where they didn't have a lot of money. And like everyone was like, thank you very much. A huge engagement on that post. And I thought, well, let's get a couple of accountants together and run a weekly chat, not on what you can claim, but on business stuff. And that went down really well. So community, I think, was something that came out. But what I did is I used the time. Have you heard the analogy about chopping the tree? The two people doing it, one does more than the other in the same time. Yeah. So I used that time to sharpen my axe.
Yes.
And I sharpened my branding and storytelling axe. So I use that time, and I use that on my own business now. But I would also roll that into conversations. Although I'm not a branding guy, I can now see if a business needs to develop their branding and would be able to explain why and give some examples. So yeah, that's the two things that came out for me. It was a great time to learn a new skill, and I think community is more important now than ever before.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And then what about yourself? Was there anything that you've not necessarily restricted to the pandemic, but throughout your whole journey so far, taking on this idea and implementing it to be Gold Driver and Agendally, what have you learned about yourself throughout the whole process?
Well, the first thing that came to mind, which is not a right answer for that, but it gives me time to think about what is the importance of the humble meeting in business. And I think, we're all thinking about branding and websites and marketing and sales and pricing, and they're all, but if you get your meetings right, so you have good strategic conversations, you'll probably have a good strategy, and you have a good execution meetings. That strategy will turn into results. You have good pricing council meetings, you'll have a good price, etc., etc. So the importance of meetings. But in terms of me, I think I've learned the challenge is being able to use what you know. So that's my biggest challenge, I think, because I know a lot of stuff. So for example, sales, one of the key things there is asking great questions and digging into pain. And it's too easy not to do that when someone says, I've got this problem. And you go, oh, great, I've got a solution.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the thing I've learned about myself is using what I know is a challenge, but that's good because at least I know I've got the problem, and you know, one stage below is having the problem and not knowing you've got it.
And I feel like I can briefly answer this for you. I know we spoke about Agendally and its launch in 3 to 4 years, and you wanting to sort of take that global. But what does your future look like? How do you see your business changing and evolving?
Yeah, you know, it really depends on what the accountants, how they respond to what I'm doing. Because I know there's a meeting problem in the world. I know there is, right? Because there's so much stats, and I've attended so many crap meetings, and if people listening to this or reading whatever will know. But you know, our accountants going to transform their meetings. Our accountants going to go as far as I want to go, which is to help their clients get the results that they want, or are they going to be happy to file tax returns or produce business plans? So my future really depends on how much I can influence the accounting profession, how much the accounting profession wants to be influenced, and if they don't engage with me and buy the stuff, then I need to go off. We just touched on it before we started the conversation. Maybe my future is with business coaches and helping business coaches have more impact. There's a lot of problems in the small business world, and they need to be fixed. And you know, there's too many people too many startups that don't succeed, and too many people in too much pain with their business, financially and non-financially, and it doesn't need to exist. It doesn't need to be like that.
Yeah, interesting. I think especially as we were sort of discussing before, as we say, but down here in Cornwall too, and sort of being our own sort of unique industry as we are, I think too. What would you sort of suggest to anybody that was thinking about going into business? Go.
What would I suggest? So I would really get them to think why. And I'd get them to really do some due diligence on what they think going into business is like. You know, there's lots of I've had lots of experience firsthand and secondhand with the accountants that I work with and for. But a lot of people go into business and find out it's actually not what they thought it was. And I don't think they spent enough time thinking about what it was and talking to people. So I'd start there really, which is to really use the time before you start a business. I suppose on that planning, due diligence, speak to people that have done it. And the way I do startup advice is I do a cash flow forecast and a time forecast, because people forget that as they start to get busy, start to get clients, that you know, they've got to do marketing, they've got to do sales, they've got to do pricing, and they've got to do delivery, and they've got to do bookkeeping, and they've got to do health and safety. So it soon becomes obvious that actually you're not going to make a load of money because you're going to start employing people, and this one step forward, two back. You know, they need to understand that, you know, it costs money to launch a business, but each step it costs money as well. So as a rule of thumb, I say to people, if you're not going to put 25 grand on the table minimum to begin with, I question straight away. And that's a service-based business working from home. I sort of question, have you really done the thinking through? And that's one of the reasons why I think franchises are more successful as a generalization, because they know what's required, and they insist on a decent amount of money to begin with. So yeah, really think through before you do it. But don't be scared, you know, don't be scared. The money's out there. If you've got the right thing and you're the right person to do it, the money's out there. So don't be scared, but think it through very carefully.
Don't be scared. I like it. Sounds like there's a lot of hats to wear there.
Well, yeah, be scared, but do it anyway. You know, I think one of the things you've got to do when you start a business is to be comfortable being uncomfortable. So, you know, getting on the phone and phoning people up that you don't know and starting the ball rolling, opening opportunities for yourself is what being an entrepreneur, self-employed business owner, whatever you want to call it, you've got to do stuff like that. Otherwise, it's going to be painful. Choose your pain.
Yeah, fantastic. Great. We'll leave it on that one. That's a good note to end on.